Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick video about what the difference between a profitable company and an unprofitable company, and how using T&M is going to kill your company. And while it's a good method for creating metrics, it's not a very good method for running your business. And I'll give you the method that I use to run my business, and I'll show you how I do that. And what I've done is I have started to use a system that basically it is a system that operates itself, and it's a system where I don't need to be in the office all day, and I don't need to be doing paperwork all the time to find out what my metrics are. It's a system that essentially runs itself and just needs to be checked in on once it's built. So this is the method I use, and I hope you guys learn something from it, and I hope if you use it that it's helpful for your business. So what's the difference between my business and a profitable business? Is my business profitable? How do I find that out without waiting until the end of the year and looking at my taxes? How does the tax person figure that out? How does the accountant figure that out? Well, there's a lot of different ways you can do that, but the easy and basic way to find out if you're profitable is to change the way that you do business. So a lot of people, when they first start out in a small home improvement type business, whether you're a handyman or do different other things around, whether you are focused on a particular thing or not, what a lot of people will do when they first start out is they'll work on a T&M, time and material. And this method of doing business will always be unprofitable. It will never work out in the long run. It is a great way to learn how to do business, and when you're first starting out, it's not a bad way to do business, and it certainly works out well for the homeowner. But the problem with T&M is you're missing a lot of factors that go into whether or not your business is profitable, and you will never know whether you're making money on T&M until the end of the year when you do a report. So you won't know on a particular job whether you're making money or losing money without using a different method. With T&M, what you essentially have is you have a material line for 50% and you have a labor line for 50%. Now there's obviously variations on that, and the guys that make money doing T&M are charging a lot more for the T than they are for the M, and they're trying to make money in other ways. But the guys that are really making money on T&M are using a different method, and that they might not quite understand all of the other method that they're using. But what T&M boils down to in its basic form is a 50% line from material and a 50% line from labor. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a hot water tank swap. We're going to pull out an exact hot water tank and we're going to put in an exact hot water tank. This is a basic install, nothing going on here, easy in and out job. These can be real money makers, and I'm going to show you how even on Real Money Maker, how this line and this method can be unprofitable, whereas another method is going to be profitable. So when you're doing T&M, a lot of people that do T&M, they don't understand what OMP is, and that they might not understand what it is altogether, or they just might not know what these two lines equal. So what OMP is, OMP is overhead and profit. And if you didn't know what OMP was, or what your overhead and profit is, or if you don't know what the O equals and what the P equals in your particular business, this is part of the problem why you're not profitable. Because you have to wait till the end of the year when the accountant goes through all your paperwork to tell you what these numbers are. So you need to know what these numbers are now. You need to figure that out. And then the other part is is you thought this was an easy job, but it turned out that you started chasing the gas line because there was a little leak, and now you're losing money because one thing went wrong. And so at T&M, it's a little bit of a safety net in this because you tell the customer, well, I had to chase the gas line, and so it's going to cost you more money. But you're really splitting the difference because you're not getting the amount of profit out of this hourly that you are out of doing the job in itself. So let's say that this job, a baseline, is 4 man hours. And you get in there and it only takes you 2 man hours. Well, you just lost on T. Now you only made $200 instead of $400. And the material would remain the same. So you just sunk this number to 30 and this number went up to 60. Well, 35 and 65. So you lost massive amounts of money because you worked fast. So why would you want to do business that way? Come over here. Welcome to the 4 split way of doing business. I'm sure there's an official name for this out there, but this is what this boils down to. This is how a profitable business does business. We're going to budget, and we're going to sell this as a $1,200 instead of an $800. We're going to add. And because we're not walking in there telling the customer that I think this is going to cost you $800. We're walking in there quoting the customer saying this is going to cost you $1,200 for a basic install. I could tell you exactly what it's going to cost you. And because we're more confident in what we're doing and we're more confident in what we're selling, we can sell that for $400 more than this. Even if you were to lower this down to the $800 cost, you would at least understand what your numbers were. You would at least be able to say what these numbers equal. So what we're doing here is we're going to go to a supplier. Instead of going to the big orange box store and paying $350 for a hot water tank and additional money for all the fittings we need, we're going to go to a quality plumbing supply store, and we're going to buy a high quality unit at a lower price because we've talked to this supply store and they know who we are, and we're getting a better price from them. So we're going to be all in for fittings. We've bought our fittings in bulk earlier in the year. We're buying the hot water tank at a lower price margin, so we're making money there. We're going to be all in at $357.50. We've ironed this out with the supply store. We've got this set up ahead of time, and we're not worried about this cost because we know exactly what it is. We're going to go, we need a lead or a journeyman, however you want to call it or however it's set up. We're going to get a laborer. So, this job just got easier because we have a laborer. We're paying the lead man. Say we're paying him $30 an hour and we're paying this guy $15 an hour. Now these guys are both making really good money. $30 an hour, $15 an hour. They're making really, really good money. This equals $55 an hour. We're going to go times cost, which is times 2 will give us our employment cost with our taxes and all the crap that you got to pay for employees. Times 2, we get $330. So we're under budget. We're good to go. $357 was our budget. We're under budget at 30%. So we have just made $27.50 that's going to go to the profit line later. we're good. That also, because we have 2 guys, we're calculating 6 man hours, so they're only going to be on site for 3 hours. That gives us a buffer of 1 hour for them to get to the next job. They can do 2 jobs at the minimum. They can do 2 jobs in a day. They're making good money. We're making good money. And we have a little buffer of another hour just in case something goes a little awry. We have a buffer there. So then we have our overhead, which we've already calculated this out, our annual cost of our insurance and our trucks and the tools and all of this thing. We've already done this. We figured out what this overhead number is for this 4-hour half-day block. It's $178.75. So we know that because we calculated that. That is a completely different video, and it's going to be a long one to calculate overhead. Profit is just the remainder plus $178.75. So if everything goes the way it's supposed to and nobody does anything stupid, then we have a minimum profit of $178.75. And if these guys can do 2 of these in one day, then we go 2, and the minimum our business makes in the day for just being in business, the profit on top of everything, is a minimum of $357.50. This number times 2. So just by being in business, we're profiting $350 a day. Granted, everything doesn't always work out perfect all the time, always. And, you know, there's external circumstances that can affect this number and cost of doing business and whatever like that. So that can, you know, that all can play into your profit line. Part of that insurance, though, is what we put in here is buffer. This is 10%. I call it insurance or ensure success. Ensure success. I've got $127.50 to play with. Now this line here covers a couple of things. First off, 10% is a deposit that you take up front for when the customer bails on you. So this is $127.50 of the customer bailed on me, and this is going to cover my cost for time lost on this job and that type of thing. The project goes ahead, this becomes insurance for the material. My material costs went over. We pick it up from here. Maybe the job goes bad, then we can pick up some labor costs from here. We could put it here. If nothing else, if we don't need it anywhere else, then this goes into the profit line. So plus $127.50. We have a profit of $178.75 or 75, that's right. Plus we have a leftover from our labor line of $127.50. Plus we have an insurance line of $127.50. Add those together and you get $333.75. $333.75. That is what your P line equals at the end of the job if everything goes right. If you do that twice in a day, then your P line equals $667.50. You can use this line. If you do this a lot of times, you can save this money and you can tighten these down. You can tighten all these numbers down and you can adjust them. Maybe maybe your supplier's a little more expensive and this line winds up being 35. Maybe you see that this line is consistently slightly lower and you make this line 25. Maybe you see that this line is consistently unused and you make this, you divide this number in half down to what would be 5%. And so you can lower this number. And if you work at this and get this number just perfect, you could get this number down to about 1,050 as your sale line and become very competitive against the standard plumber. I know plumbers that will charge this $1,800 to install a hot water tank. And they sell it all the time. And they could sell that, and this line goes up by that $400. And now they're making, working a half a day, they're making $733.75 in a half a day's work. It's just a matter of working your numbers. Start off 30% materials, 30% labor, 30% O&P with a 10% buffer, and then work your way in every job. Go through, do a job report, apply this rule, and you'll find out what these numbers actually become in your business. Yep, 30. You'll find out what they actually are in your business on that particular job, and you can get that job down right to the penny to find out the cost of everything. And then you could take this money and you can calculate and figure out what you can do with this money. This money can easily be reinvested into your company. This money can be, like I said, this money can be worked down to give your customer a better deal. This money can be put away as insurance money for a self-insurance fund so that you don't have to tap your actual insurance. This money can be used in a lot of ways. You can use it for bonuses at the end of the year. Maybe you have guys that are consistently coming in under this number. Find out who those guys are and take the difference and give it to them as a bonus at the end of the year. Guess what? Next year, they're going to work harder, and all of the slackers are going to see that, and they're going to work harder, and you're going to become more profitable and work this number down. As you do more business, you can work this number down. If you're buying 10 hot water heaters from a supplier every year, this number is going to be a lot different than if you're buying 200 or 300 or 500 hot water heaters every year from a supplier. You can work on this number. And it's just a matter of working on. This is a starting point. Use this 30, 30, 30, and 10. Use this rule. Build it, do a job report, every single job, do a job report, and look at how on every job, look at how these numbers work out. The other benefit of doing this is you can find out what jobs you're doing. You do this with every job, not just hot water tank swaps. Find out what jobs you're doing that you're making money and what job you're doing that you're losing money. And if you're consistently over, under, on these, if you're consistently using this into here, then you can adjust your numbers. It gives you a starting point so that you can win the race. Just make the adjustments, If you're consistently losing on a job, stop doing that job. You're bad at it. If you do hot water tank swaps and every time you do one, your number is 400 instead of 350. And it takes you, maybe you're doing it by yourself, and it takes you all freaking day. It takes you 8+ hours to do it. And you're over on this number. Or maybe you do have a laborer, and it takes you guys, consistently takes you guys 4 or 5 hours to do it. And so you're over this number. You're bad at the job. Stop, find something else. If this number here, overhead as far as insurance and all that stuff, they're pretty hard numbers to work with. But if this P is constantly down, then maybe you need to find something that you're more efficient at, Or maybe you need to raise your prices is more likely. If P is always down, you need to raise your prices. Maybe you're constantly losing this number. You need to go back to school. If you're always losing this, find out why you're always losing this. Is it going into go relearn how to do the job? Is it going into the supplier? Go to your supplier and tell them that you're paying too much and you need them to drop their prices by 5%. They'll do that if you are a consistent buyer there. That's one of the reasons you don't shop at big box stores, because they will not change the prices for you. If you have a supplier and you're in there once or twice a week and they know who the heck you are, when you tell them that you need to drop this line by 5%, they're going to look at you seriously and they're going to seriously talk about it. If you tell that to the big orange box store, they're going to laugh in your face and tell you to find somewhere else to buy stuff. So that's one of the reasons. But you got to work through all of these numbers, and they're constantly moving. It's a jigsaw puzzle that is constantly changing, and every single job, it's going to be just a little bit different. But if you work off of this rule, then you can find out exactly what you need to do in your business to make this right.